and welcome to the Greenlam Industries Limited Q3 and 9 months FY24 earnings conference call. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not the guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Saurabh Mittal, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Greenlam Industries Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, friends, and a very warm welcome to all of you all. On the call, I'm joined by Ashok, our CFO, Samarth from the finance team, and SGA, our investor relationships advisor. The results and presentations are available in stock exchanges and our company website, and I hope you've had a chance to look at it. I'll give you a little brief about the building material industry and our industry, and then just take you through the key highlights of Q3 and the other initiatives, which we've undertaken over the last quarter and the last 9 months. So on the industry of building materials, and in particular the wood panel industry, I think the future of the industry looks promising and strong. And our long-term thinking points on market share gains from unorganized to organized, the market share gain from international players in the exports business, the expansion of furniture manufacturing in India with multiple new OEMs setting up larger furniture plants in the country. So overall consumption of wood panel industry in the country. Massive real estate projects being announced, being constructed, being at various phases of construction at the moment across the country. Will come up for interior fit-outs maybe in the next couple of quarters, and clearly we'll see a great demand at that point. There's also been implementation of the BIS quality standards, which we think will benefit one part of our business, which is the particle board business. So overall, our long-term thesis, our line of thinking, I think is playing out in the market. Although in the short term there have been some concerns of slower growth in the domestic market. There have been some concerns due to logistical challenges in the international markets in one part of the world. But just generally long term, we think that all of the story is just makes sense, and it is going to play out. And probably it's only playing out at the current moment too. We think we are taking more market share across categories from the unorganized companies and internationally from the international regional players. On the quarter gone by, the revenues went up by 11.9%. The domestic business grew by 17.8%. This is including the new business of plywood. The international business grew by just 4.8%. And like we mentioned in our communication, this was impacted due to certain revenues which could not be booked due to goods being in the water, goods being at the port, and there was a temporary availability of containers, challenges for certain destinations. The gross margins were also improved at 54.8%. The EBITDA margin was at 12.5%. This is despite the fact that we had EBITDA losses at the new laminate plant in Andhra Pradesh and EBITDA losses at the plywood plant in Tamil Nadu. The veneer allied category turned EBITDA positive. So clearly, I think some things have gone well, and the situation, of the Red Sea impact, had it not been there, the performance in revenues and margins doesn't to be there. We continue to take several initiatives across categories in terms of channel expansion, deeper penetration in the market. Several on-ground activities are going on. Several product launches have been done in the quarter. A lot of digital media marketing, TVC marketing is going on. So clearly, I think on ground, our sales marketing teams continue to work hard to build more market share and continuously expand the business. On the key capex, we've initiated this year the Gujarat factory, which expanded, where we expanded capacities, or rather, we had to enhance capacities in the month of May 2023, has reached nearly 100% utilization. The plywood factory is stabilizing. The product quality, has been accepted in the market, and as we see things, we think as we keep moving ahead, revenues will keep going up and EBITDA losses will keep coming down. The Andhra Pradesh laminate factory had EBITDA losses in Q3. We think in this quarter we should have significant improvements in both revenue and profitability there. And in a couple of quarters, we should be able to streamline the Naidupeta laminate plant too. The Baltimore plant is coming up well. There has been some delays there due to certain unavoidable situations. And now we think in Q2FY25 we can start the factory. We also purchased some land in Uttar Pradesh in the district Sitapur for the future greenfield projects. But this is really at the initial stages at the moment. We have a lot of government approvals, etc., to come by, and we will be working towards getting that done. So that's briefly from my side in terms of where the business is. I'll hand over the call to Ashok. Ashok will take you through the financial numbers, and post which we'll be happy to respond to your queries and questions. Ashok, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, friends. I'll take you through the financial performance, first for the quarter and then for 9 months. Q3FY24 on a consolidated basis, revenue grew by 11.9% and on year-on-year basis, and de-grew by 6.7% on sequential basis to 563.4 crore as compared to 503.5 crore in Q3FY23. Gross margin grew by 650 basis points to 54.8% in Q3FY24 from 48.3% in Q3 last year. On a sequential basis, gross margin grew by 340 basis points. Gross margin in absolute terms grew by 26.8% to 308.6 crore as compared to 243.3 crore in Q3 last year. EBITDA margin was up by 170 basis points and stood at 12.6% as compared to 10.9% in Q3 last year. On a sequential basis, EBITDA margin grew by 10 basis points. EBITDA in absolute terms grew by 29.8% to 71.1 crore in comparison to 54.8 crore in Q3 last year. Net profit for the quarter stood at 25.3 crore as against 28.6 crore in Q3 last year. On 9-month basis, consolidated net revenue grew by 12.7% to 16.82 crore in comparison to 14.92 crore in last year. Gross margin was up by 680 basis points to 52.8% from 46% in 9 months last year. Gross margin in absolute terms grew by 29.5% to 888 crore as in comparison to 686 crore last year. EBITDA margin was up by 200 basis points and stood at 12.6% from 10.6% in 9 months last year. EBITDA in absolute terms grew by 32.9% to 211 crore as in comparison to 158 crore in 9 months last year. Net profit grew by 17.8% to 97.2 crore as against 82.5 crore in 9 months last year. Moving on to segmental performance, laminate revenue grew by 8.8% on year-on-year basis and de-grew by 5.9% sequentially to 499.8 crore in Q3 this year from 459 crore in Q3 last year. Volume growth stood at 9.1% on year-on-year basis. Domestic laminate revenue grew by 12.8% on year-on-year basis and grew by 4% sequentially in value terms. Volume growth stood at 11.2% on year-on-year basis. International laminate revenue grew by 4.8% on year-on-year and de-grew by 14.9% sequentially in value terms on account of delay in shipping and getting containers. Volume grew by 6% on year-on-year basis. EBITDA margin stood at 15.9%, a growth of 350 basis points on year-on-year basis, and degrowth of 50 basis points on quarter-on-quarter basis. This is after accounting for the initial startup cost of Naidupeta laminate plant, which was started in 29th September. Production volume were at 5 million sheets and at a utilization level of 82% on enhanced capacity after adding the capacity of Naidupeta plant. Capacity utilization in Naidupeta plant was approximately 20% on annualized basis. Sales volume for the quarter stood at 4.65 million sheets, and the average realization for the quarter was at 1036 per sheet. Moving on to the 9 months, the laminate revenue grew by 10.5% to 1503 crore from 1360 crore last year. Volume grew by 11%. Domestic laminate revenue grew by 11% in value terms, and volume growth stood at 17.9%. International laminate revenue grew by 9.8% in value terms, and volume grew by 2.6%. EBITDA margin stood at 15.7%, a growth of 350 basis points on year-on-year. Production volume were at 14.64 million sheets and at a utilization level of 88%. Sales volume for the 9 months stood at 13.75 million sheets, and average realization for the 9 months was 1050 per sheet. Moving on to decorative veneer and allied segment, which consists of deco, veneer, engineered floors, and engineered doors. In decorative veneer segment, business grew by 11.7% on year-on-year basis and degrew by 24% on sequential basis to 27.4 crore this quarter from 24.5 crore in Q3 last year. Volume grew by 31.5% on year-on-year basis. Revenue of decorative veneer business grew by 11.6% on year-on-year basis to the 88.7 crore in 9 months FY24 from 79.4 crore in 9 months last year. Volume grew by 6.2% on year-on-year basis. Sales volume for the quarter stood at 0.31 million square meters and 0.98 million square meters for 9 months. Capacity utilization for this quarter stood at 31%, and for the 9 months also it was 31%. Average realization for the quarter was 868 per square meter, and for the 9 months it stood at 901 rupees. Moving on to engineered wood flooring. Revenue of engineered wood flooring business grew by 22.3% on year-on-year basis and remains flat on sequential basis to 13.3 crore in quarter 3 this year as against 10.9 crore in quarter 3 last year. For the 9 months, revenue of engineered wood flooring business grew by 8% to 36.9 crore as against 34.2 crore 9 months last year. However, capacity utilization stood at 12% for the quarter and for the 9 months. We are happy to inform that this engineered wood flooring business is breakeven in this quarter. Engineered door business degrew by 22% on year-on-year basis and degrew by 15% on sequential basis to 7 crore as against 9 crore in Q3 last year. For the 9 months, engineered door business grew by 23.8% to 22.1 crore as against 17.9 crore in 9 months last year. Capacity utilization for the quarter was at 18% and for the 9 months it stood at 15%. Moving on to plywood segment, revenue of plywood business stands at 16 crore in this quarter and 31.7 crore in 9 months. Sales volume for the quarter stood at 0.73 million square meters and 1.39 million square meters for 9 months. Capacity utilization for the quarter and 9 months stood at 14%. Average realization of plywood for the quarter was 218 per square meter, and for 9 months it is 228 rupees per square meter. Our net working capital increased by 4 days to 72 days in comparison to same quarter last year. This is primarily on account of export material stuck at port and in the transit, and the inventory built up for our new plant, or new laminate plant at Naidupeta and plywood plant. Our net debt as on 31st December stood at 847 crore. That's all from our side. I would now like to open the floor for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone phone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets only while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Keshav Vijayaratan Lahoti from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, sir. It's good to see veneer engineered door segment performance improving. Just want to check on the plywood side. Possibly not much ramp up is seen on Q1Q basis. Earlier, you were sort of targeting 40-50% capacity utilization in Q4. So how is the progress? What sort of distribution network you are adding it over here?
So plywood, I think Q1 keep seeing improvements, and so I think our plan of building the factory to 100% utilization should happen in FY26. We are right now focused only on the South India markets, and we might add Maharashtra also to the sales marketing program for starting next financial year. And a number of dealers are getting added, secondary sales are being done. And so we're seeing good progress on ground, maybe not so visible on the numbers, but clearly I think the product quality, the stabilization, supply chain, acceptance of the market, channel partners appointments, secondary activities, a lot of work is going on ground, and we're seeing good work on ground happening, and we think we'll keep taking market share and growing the business on a sequential basis.
Okay, got it. Good to hear that. So coming on the laminate side, there is two issues. One is the Israel war issue, which is impacting the demand. How is the progress going on that front? And secondly, the recent spike in the ocean freight rate. So are you able to sort of pass it on to the customer?
So on the demand side, if you see last quarter, yes, demand was also a little bit slow, but the last quarter was more of a challenge on the delays of the vessels, because all this happened in the second, third week of December. As we talk right now, container availability is more or less streamlined, but the sailing time to Europe and America is taking 2 to 3 weeks longer than the previous time. So on the demand side, I think we should be okay, because we've seen we generally end up taking more market share from the international players in a bit difficult market situations. And also with the Andhra Pradesh factory, we have a particular size which we did not have earlier. So I think that market is also opening up. So I think we should be okay on the demand side. And so Israel war, I think the demand side is okay. And what was the next question, please, Keshav? Ocean freight, yeah. So on the ocean freight, actually we have a predetermined, sea freight agreed with the customers. If it is, beyond that particular figure, beyond that particular freight, the customer absorbs the freight. So this we had done at the COVID time also, when the sea freights really had shot up. So that is not a big challenge, for us beyond a certain level of sea freight which we agree. But yes, the sea freights have gone, from what we were paying to a certain level, which obviously will increase certain freight costs. But we think with improved product mix or improved capacity utilization. That will not be anything of much significance. We should be able to absorb to that extent.
Got it. And how is the progress on the AP new laminates plant? Any number to quantify the EBITDA loss for this quarter and when we expect its break-even and ramp-up plans?
Yeah, I get it. This was the first quarter, so EBITDA loss was in the range of around 3 to 4 crore rupees. And we are hopeful that within, let's say, this quarter, next quarter, we are ramping up the production and sales, and we are hopeful that within this quarter or next quarter, we will break even and it will start generating positive margin.
Okay. One last question from my side. I'll come back in queue later. What is the idea behind the UP land? You are planning expansion on which product portfolio?
So, can't disclose much at the moment because greenfield projects in our industry takes time in terms of licensing, environmental clearance, etc. And also, so really it's more from the long-term, from a future perspective. In the past also, when you buy large amounts of land, we've had issues or delays in approvals and, environmental clearance, etc. So it's more from a long-term perspective. Not much which we can discuss right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sneha Talreja from Nuvama. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, sir. And congrats on strong volumes despite uncertainty in the market. Just a couple of questions from my end. Your decorative veneer business has definitely seen sequential improvement. But if I look at, margins there are still impacted. When can we see it, going back to pre-COVID levels? And QOQ, there is a sequential decline in terms of revenue. So what's happening here?
So the veneer and flooring business both have seen improvements in gross margins and EBITDA margins. As far as the veneer business coming back to a pre-COVID level, we think the business will keep improving as raw material costs have more or less kind of stabilized in the veneer business, because most of the raw materials for the veneer business comes in from Southeast Asia and Asia, and we don't see much impact on freight and costs, in those markets. So I think with a little bit more volume increase, we should keep seeing improvements in the veneer business.
Understood. Secondly, it's more of a bookkeeping question. Why is the tax rate this particular quarter increased significantly to about 29%?
Will you come again, Sneha?
Sir, why is the tax rate increased during this quarter? Is there any provision, something that you've made?
No, not at all. Because the Naidupeta, which has started in this quarter, and that's in the another company, that's in the another subsidiary, and that has losses in terms of that. Because of that reason, it has gone up.
Sir, I'm sorry, I did not get that. Your subsidiary is making losses, but because of which, why has the tax rate gone up?
So the Naidupeta unit, which is in the GSL, which is in the loss in this quarter, and on the console, when we do that time the losses, that time the tax rate increases.
Okay, I still just trying to get math.
Your voice is cracking. Yeah.
Is it better now, sir?
Yeah, it's better now.
I said I'll actually follow up with you on a one-on-one basis after the call. Thanks, sir. And all the best. I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Bhavin Rupani from Investec. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. My first question is related to plywood, sir. What is the break-even level that we expect for plywood, and when will it reach?
The ply break-even should be at a level of 50 to 60% utilization, and we hope coming financial year we should be somewhere in that range of breaking even the plywood business.
You're saying that the 50-60% will reach in next year?
That's right.
Towards the end, sir, or in the first 2 quarters?
No, we're endeavoring to do it as the quickest, but you can assume that on an annualized basis, we should be somewhere in that range. So maybe towards the end, that's your question. Towards H2 of next FY.
All right. So my next question is related to laminates. What is the proportion of total exports as compared to our total revenue, and what is the proportion which is exported to America and Europe?
Yeah, in this quarter, the international business is around 47.5% of the total laminate revenue. And in terms of US, the your question is about the US?
It's in America. Yeah.
US and Europe both, sir.
Okay. US and Europe. That probably we will have this on one-on-one basis.
All right. And sir, do you see any impact on exports going ahead if the issue persists? And is it possible to quantify anything?
I won't say much at the moment on that. Last month was okay for us. Export was fine. So I don't see much issues unless we're surprised by something else.
All right. So third question is related to particle boards. So we have delayed our commissioning by 1 or 2 quarters. So is it because of delay in delivery of machines, or is it due to elevated imports that we are seeing in India?
No, so actually, most of the international imports or equipment have come to site besides steel. So as we talk right now, that's more or less under control. The commissioning work has also started at the plant. We did have an impact of few weeks in December due to the massive cyclone and rains happening in that part of the country, which kind of delayed certain civil works. But as we talk right now, there are no challenges on equipment delivery or availability, etc. Things are being executed on the ground. So things did get pushed by 2 to 3 weeks because of the rains and cyclone and the site. It was hard to do civil work at the site. But otherwise, equipment, etc. are under control.
All right. And sir, my last question, if I may, it's related to veneers. Sir, can you tell us some of the steps that we are taking to increase utilizations level over here?
So if you look at the veneer and allied category, I'm assuming you're talking about the entire category, which comprises of decorative veneers, flooring, doors. So steps are again in the form of channel expansion, secondary working with architects, designers, developers, builders. A lot of hospitality projects are coming up, which typically needs wooden flooring. So real estate projects are, we are hoping that with the amount of real estate which is being built in the country, when they come forth the doubts, all these categories will grow. So I think it's numerous steps in terms of both sales and marketing and product development which is being taken.
All right. That is helpful, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Pal from Motilal Oswal Financial Services Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, please.
Yes. So just wanted to quickly understand on the demand environment in the export markets for Indian manufactured laminate, specifically in the developed regions like US, Europe, Mexico.
Please come again. Are you asking the demand environment?
Yes. So are we seeing any slowdown? Are we seeing any loss in market share for Indian manufacturers in these particularly 3 regions?
So I can talk about us, like for our company. So we are not seeing any market loss or business slowing down for us at least, because anyway we're not so large versus the local players there. So as we talk right now, we think it's an opportunity for us to take more market share. So we are not seeing any particular market loss or any significant slowdown for us from these regions.
And
at the moment.
For example, say in Europe, where their manufacturers are on a cost disadvantage compared to Indian manufacturers, are we seeing good, strong market share gains for Greenlam?
Please come again. I think your voice is echoing a bit, please. So sorry about that. Can you come again?
Is it better? Is it better now?
It's a bit muffled, It's a bit muffled.
Better now?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, it's clear. Yes, please.
So just wanted to understand, so because there is a cost disadvantage for European manufacturers, are we seeing
Right.
market share wins for Greenlam where it is moving away from company like Formica, Flighter?
Yeah. No, so clearly, I think we will have market share gains. And we said this in the past, before the Andhra Pradesh factory commenced, we were restricted on capacity. And you can see the data, earlier. We were nearly at 100% utilization. So we couldn't take on more customers and more business. So we will see market share gains from the companies you mentioned. Now, this depends on various geographies in certain countries or regions. Some other brand is, some other company is stronger. In some other regions, someone else is stronger. So I think we'll see market share gains in Europe, since you mentioned Europe, from the companies you mentioned. I think they have a lot of challenges with people availability and costs, etc. So I think we will see gains.
Perfect. So just last question before I move to the question in the queue again. Do we see a lot of unorganized players in this segment of the market, that is Europe, US, the developed end of the market?
No, we don't see. I'm assuming your question is, do we see unorganized manufacturers in India shipping to these markets? Is that the question?
Correct.
No, so we don't see that. I think because these markets need a certain product, a certain standard, and a certain dimension. I think so. Not every manufacturer in India, ships to these regions, or they don't have the capability and the capacity to ship this region. So it's very limited players operating in this region.
Perfect. So just one more question from a bookkeeping perspective. You highlighted the international business revenue share. Can you also give me the breakup of volumes?
Volume of what? Volume of the international.
Volume of laminates.
We can share that on one-on-one basis.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Participants may press star and 1 to join the question queue. The next question is from the line of Rishikesh Bhagat from Kotak Mutual Funds. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. So, can you just highlight how will this BIS dynamics play out in particle board? If I'm correct me if I'm wrong. These imports are close to it's largely imported, a fair bit of particle board in India. So how much is it BIS compliant according to you, or probably what could be the challenges for the importers post these norms?
So my limited understanding now is that this will have a challenge for imports coming in the country. And as you probably know, in the domestic market, besides one or two players, you have largely unorganized producers producing and shipping particle boards, which mostly is of very inferior quality. So I think this will have a challenge for both imports and local unorganized producers of particle board. So I think, and if we have to follow the BIS norms, clearly the cost, will increase, and there'll be more level playing field in the market.
So today there's not much, in the sense import is largely non-BIS compliant. Fair to believe that, or different?
Import, yeah, I don't know. Well, some may be BIS compliant, some may not be, but they have to still go through the process of getting the compliance done. And I think the larger impact will be from the domestic local producers, because the local production of chipboard or particle board from the unorganized producers is far higher than the imports coming into the country.
Okay.
And for all practical reasons, besides 2-3 companies, everybody else, as we talk right now, which could be another 30-40 mid-size, smaller-size factories, producing non-standardized products.
Okay. And just the fair bit of import demand in the domestic market, it's largely met through imports currently in absence of domestic capacity?
So the way to look at it is, in the OEM segment, our understanding is that OEMs, 80% of the raw materials in the wood panel industry constitutes of pre-laminated particle board. Yes. In absence of good quality particle boards and consistent supply chain, a lot of this market we believe has moved to pre-laminated MDF also. So that demand is being serviced by imports by pre-laminated MDF also, right? So clearly, when a good supplier comes in with the right product quality, with the right supply chain consistency of supply, right formats, which helps them improve their yield and reduce the wastage, will gain more market share. So our equipments and our the equipments we are getting in our factory, because we are investing now, is the latest equipments which is available anywhere in the world. So the quality of the board, the quality of cutting, the finishing of the product, the surface finish will be far superior to any other company, or most of the companies in the country. And the prices of pre-laminated particle board is anything between 20 to 25% lower than pre-laminated MDF. So we think a lot of the OEM demand of boards will move to pre-laminated particle boards, which is happening everywhere in the world. So nothing new is we are talking. It's happening everywhere in the world.
Okay, and just from the larger particle board capacity, say over the next 1 year, if I have to look, it's largely you guys, Century, and recently commissioned Merino. Is that a fair understanding, or is there anything else also on annual?
So my understanding is that our and Merino's capacities will be quite comparable, and we'll both possess similar strengths because of laminates and combination of laminates, boards, etc. And then, like you mentioned, I believe Century is also looking at expanding capacity or adding a new plant in Tamil Nadu. That's right.
But apart from you guys, new capacity.
I have not heard of anything. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Agarwal from VT Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. So I wanted to understand what was the raw material price trend in quarter 3. Has it fallen down? Has it been constant? What has it been?
So if you go segment-wise, in the laminate segment, mostly we procure paper and chemicals, largely being stable. We have seen some temporary increase in kraft paper costs. In the last quarter came down. We've seen some increase, a little bit this quarter as we talk right now. The wood veneer segment mostly has been stable. And in the plywood business in last quarter has been stable because Q2 the costs had gone up. So broadly, a little bit, give or take, it is more or less stable, in the last quarter.
Okay. So I believe we mostly import a lot of these, a lot of our raw material, like I think in the paper segment. So any impact because of the Red Sea crisis, or any issues in the supply chain because of that?
So imports from Asia are not being impacted. Imports from Europe, will get impacted due to certain supply chain issues with deliveries coming in maybe delayed by 2 to 3 weeks. As we talk, but we believe that production turnaround time of our suppliers have reduced because of their own local demand issues. So yes, there could be some minor impact, but as we see things now, we don't see this to be very consequential.
Okay.
Wants to add something?
Of our raw material, only the base paper and some portion of veneer is being imported from Europe side. Rest, and that too also some percentage of that is being imported. Rest all are coming from other places and within and domestically procured also. So will not have, overall percentage will not have that much impact.
Okay, got it. And so, what exposure normally? If you could quantify on a quarterly basis, how much volume do we sell to Israel or the Middle East countries which are impacted? I believe that's some significant percentage.
So it's not so significant, but I must say our sales in Middle East and Israel haven't come down. So it's being maintained. So it's not impacting the business. It's not impacting negatively the business.
Oh, okay, great. That's it from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Achal Lohade from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, team. Thank you for the opportunity. Just two questions, sir. First, with respect to the pre-laminated particle board, which you said, is kind of being substituted as of now by the pre-laminated MDF. Would you be able to give a broad sense in terms of CBM? How much would that be?
I don't have that fact ready. So I will not be able to comment on that right now, Achal.
Okay, no problem. The second question I had, if you look at the EBITDA, the EBITDA per sheet, I don't know if that is the right metric to look at. We see that prior to 2015, it used to be between 50 to 70, and from 2016 to 2020, it was about 100. 21 to 23 is about 140. 130, 140. And last 3 quarters, if I look at, it's about 170. Last 5 quarters, 6 quarters, between 160 to 170. So would you be able to guide us as to what is driving this? Is it product mix alone? Is it the cost optimization? Because on one hand, you said there is additional cost which is incurred in the new facility, which is kind of impacted the margins. But at the same time, if I look at the per sheet, it's actually fabulous at 170. So if you could elaborate a bit as to what is driven this improvement in terms of
sure.
the pricing, margin, product mix, anything of that sort.
So I can't exactly go rupee-wise. What we said for Q3 was that the EBITDA of the existing business of laminates was far higher, which is not visible because of the EBITDA losses, in the new plant, because we just started the plant on 29th of September. It just takes time to put the things in process, get the operating parameters correct and all that, which has more or less been done. So I would say multiple things have driven it and not one particular piece. So right from, higher production, improved value mix, pricing discipline, cost optimization. In the initial days, we've had a lot of higher cost, situation where we have large export teams, international teams, where, we invested ahead of the curve. Even now, we think we still have not seen the entire return of the investments we have done or we are doing in market building, in market expansions in both domestic and international markets. So I would say multiple, factors have gone into, improving the profitability in percent and value per sheet.
So, what I'm trying to figure out is that the kind of ROC what we have, on the existing, does it make more attractive for the newbies to jump into the segment and kind of pull down to the average or median, I'm just coming to that aspect.
Yeah. The laminate business, unlike several commodity businesses, are not easy to build. And you probably see companies who've been in the business for 30, 40 years or 50 years. It just takes time to build the distribution network, build the international network, get the specification. So I don't see new companies or new people coming in and disturbing the equation, return on capital, or the other entire business proposition. I think it's just a very hard business to build, not the manufacturing side, but the sales and distribution side.
Understood. I think those were my 2 questions. Thank you so much and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ronald Sioni from Sher Khan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. So on your guidance front, would you want to revise the guidance in terms of, laminate value growth about 15% and overall 20 to 25% for FY24? So, do you expect Q4 to be on a softer side, considering the demand environment?
So I think we said FY24 to be like a 18-20%. We think it'll be more like a 15% because we've done about overall 12, slightly over than 12% growth. So I think we should be in the vicinity of 15% for this financial year. And for next financial year, I think overall we should be more like in the vicinity of 20% growth, top line.
Okay, great. And on the second question on the debt front, like 847 or 850 odd crore net debt stays for FY24, or there should be, marginal increase in the net debt, or this should be the peak debt that the company should have?
Hi, Roman. We are expecting in this quarter it may slightly go up and it will be in the range of around 850 to 900 crore. And that will be the peak debt, and it should start coming down from next year.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much and best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek from DSP. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So just in terms of the plywood segment, how are you seeing the competitive landscape there, given that timber prices have been on an increase, and any view that how should one look at the timber price movement? Thanks.
So we've said this in the past that our model right now is more regional in nature. So yes, there has been an increase in timber price in South India, from the time we conceived of the project, from the time we started production to now. So as we see things now, there is a minor increase in timber prices, but we believe that prices should now, kind of somewhere peak out as far as the timber prices are concerned. As far as we are concerned, we have facilities to in-house peel most of the raw material with two strategically located factories of peeling, which is in Tamil Nadu partially and partially in Andhra Pradesh. So once our production of particle boards, laminates and plywood all stabilize, we believe our costs will be one of the lowest in the industry, because whatever waste gets generated becomes part of our raw material for particle board plant, or part of our fuel for the laminate plant, and part of the fuel for the plywood plant. So I think we're just right now setting these things up. So I think as we progress, we believe the strategy we've done in terms of sourcing timber from three different states in two different locations, and the waste being used in our manufacturing process or in the fuel, we should be okay with it. Yeah, so that's how we see timber prices. This is what we can see right now. If something else happens, can't say much about it.
The line for the current participant has been dropped from the queue, so we'll move on to the next question. The next question is from the line of Keshav Vijayrathan Lahoti from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for the follow-up. Sir, will it be a perfect analysis like Merino plant is coming in Gujarat for the particle board, and possibly you have a plant in South? So normally the timber prices is far lower in South versus the West. So any day you will have a upper hand over Merino and you should make a better margin?
I can't say much on that, but whatever we understand, I believe availability of raw materials and costs are superior in South for raw material versus Western India. And the market size of particle board also, we believe, is larger in South India. But if things change, this is what we can see, but I don't know that will lead to higher margin. Depends on who does what pricing strategy. So can't comment too much on that.
Got it. Our analysis was, there was a war situation in Israel, and your commentary is you haven't seen any impact for Israel. Like in quarter 3, Q1Q, your revenue is flattish for Israel more.
Yeah, correct. That's correct. So our sales in Israel have been dipped, although it's not very large, but whatever it is being maintained. Actually, it's gone up a bit. I don't know why that is so, but it's going okay.
So will it be due to market share gain, because market might have shrink due to war?
Could be, and because I've not seen the international data, but my CFO tells me that exports from India has come down in Q3.
Right.
And while we've gone up a bit, so maybe there's a market share gain. Also, like we've said in the past, we've done market development activities for many years in terms of specifications, in terms of newer capacities, a lot of marketing activities that have happened. And international players were shipping into Israel. Maybe their share has partially come to us, or maybe people are stocking up right now. So I'm not sure what the reason could be. It could be multiple reasons.
Got it. Is it possible to quantify how big is Israel in your export mix?
We can, but we don't want to disclose that.
Okay, not an issue. Last question from my side. What is the CapEx revised guidance for FY24 and 25 because particle board is bit delayed?
So, pending this project which has been announced, so there is not much of a capex in terms of the routine capex which is there as of now. We will complete this. First, we want to complete these projects, and then probably we will see if there is any other capex which is needed in the existing business. But as of now, there is not much of a routine capex.
No, got it. My question is more towards like particle board. How should we build the capex for FY24 and 25? The split.
That probably will, since most of the equipment has come in this quarter and some erection is started. So there won't be much capex in the next year, but we will discuss this offline.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending the call, and thank you for your queries and questions. Ashok and Samat will take a few of your questions, I believe, offline one-on-one. Thank you once again for your patience and contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. On behalf of Greenlam Industries Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines.